So, good morning and welcome to the fourth session of our course, Entrepreneuring by Leveraging University Ecosystems. We'll just go through a quick recap before we arrive at the topic of the day, which is seeking out team members in the local ecosystem. So, we began by talking about resources and capabilities and understanding how they are almost always hidden from plain sight, and what are only visible are certain activities. But for an activity, whether organizational or individual, to become strategic, that is, for it to have long-term implications, it needs to be defended by strong resources and capability which underlie it. And for your own individual entrepreneurial identity, we said that the university is actually a resource, but then that's a very broad abstract conceptualization. There are multiple components in a university which you need to understand to be able to better leverage it for your own strategic activities. We then talked about the professor as one of the foremost resources. The professor and his or her lab has been one of the foremost resource for students. We then talked about how it is useful to leverage, first by understanding that people who are different from us have much greater utility for us in our own growth than people who are very similar to us, who have similar interests, belong to similar background, region, language, and so on and so forth. So to actively seek out people who are very different from us, and we particularly talked about the strength of weak ties and strategically occupying what are called structural holes. In the last class, we talked about where ideas come from. There are many sources of ideas, and whenever you come across any particular idea, you need to dig a little deeper to find out if its foundations are strong and whether they belong to any of these that we talked about in the class. So ideas without having a backing of where they actually come from might not be of much utility, because they might not be backed by strong streams of energy behind them. So essentially what we are looking for are streams of energy, and those streams of energy can come either from felt need or from your own interests, life lessons, experiences, and so on and so forth. Right? That was what we did till the last class. Now let us continue. So here is a chart. It's a popular chart available on the internet, and talks about why do startups fail? What are the top reasons that startups fail? So what would be your sense? What are the top 3-4 reasons which you think because of which startups fail? Fund. Okay. So let's note it down and see what comes to our mind. So when you are saying funds, okay, what else comes to your mind? Why do startups? The founders. So founders fall apart. Team, right? Yeah, same. Founders conflict. Or did you mean below the founders? Like what in that? So you are saying, good point. This is of course after the founders, but quality of the first layer. Right? Below the co-founders, you will have that first layer. If you go wrong there, then again you have lost the game. So good point. Anything else that comes to your mind, or Mukund? Market group doesn't need that product. Right. So the need itself, if that is incorrectly identified, then of course, no chance. Backing in. Right. Whether there is energy is what the word we used. We can also use genuine reason, or you can also talk about legitimacy. Not every team has the legitimacy to solve every problem in the world. Product, quality of the solution itself. You're right. So you might have identified the problem well, but each problem has almost infinite solutions. And mentoring, yeah, that also is required. But these are very good reasons why startups fail. You can be selling, your product might be selling like hot cake, but if you have not figured out your working capital well, then even as it is selling, you are now not able to pay the vendors, you are not able to pay a salary, and that's it. It can end right there. So it's not about whether you are making profits or not. You can make profits, but if you have not managed your inflows, right? I can sell something to you, and you can tell me that you'll give me 200 rupees next month, and I have made it only for 50 rupees. So 150 rupees of profit, but next month, somehow I am not able to negotiate hard enough with you to give that money to me. So my working capital can be in shambles, I can lose. And all these are very, very... Market competition will be, yeah. So some hidden somewhere here, but yeah, of course, competition. So let's see what this popular chart tells us. One, it says no market need. So you end up solving a problem for which actually there is no need. Then you ran out of cash. So see, that doesn't mention about profitability. It mentions this, that it's just that you have run out of cash and not the right team. So like this. Of course, outcompeted. Your solution is not really a differentiated solution, and so on and so forth. But today what we are going to cover is about the team, which we have been talking about in some way, but today we'll just focus on that. And team, very important, because many of these problems actually are solvable once you recognize it, right? Let's say you figure out that there is no need, then you have already got some sense. Let's say you are working in education space and you have developed a particular chatbot saying this is the chatbot through which every student in this country will get guidance. Okay, you thought there was a need for a chatbot kind of thing where nobody needs to appear on screen, they don't need to go to tuition classes, and a chatbot will help you solve the issue. But what you did not realize, maybe because you did not do that field work, that with availability of Wi-Fi or very cheap internet services, actually there is infinite content available, and people actually don't need a very curated and simplistic answer through a chatbot. They are happy watching long videos on YouTube and figuring out on their own. So there was actually no need. You thought that there is a need. Fine. So that is not working. The chatbot is not working. But you have gathered now through this experience, you have gathered some understanding about education space. So if your product was this, you can say, oh, this is not working. Let me make my product this. which is popularly called as pivoting. So you know about the space, right? You're like, okay, so this is not working. Got it. Let me do this. So you can modulate it. Funds, you find that, oh my God, last month itself I was about to shut down. Somehow my uncle has given me some money to move forward and give salaries and give vendor the payments. Otherwise, they had come and they had sat in my shop saying, without you giving me this, I will not go away. And you were not able to do it with your customers. So you were having this. So I'll say, this is a problem. So next time I want to sell you something for 200 and you have agreed, I'll say you, I will sell you for 180, but you have to give me the cash now, or at least 50% of it. I am not letting you go without paying me something. So once you realize this and take actions, can be managed. This one, once conflict begins, it's very, very difficult to manage it, because conflict begins not suddenly, right? If this is the threshold after which conflict begins revealing itself in conversations, right? Arguments, and not technical arguments, but about each other's intentions and that kind of principal differences. So if this is the threshold and you have reached this, which means that a lot has been happening. It has not happened one day suddenly on Monday morning. It has to build up. That negativity has been building up. So just because you stop this argument doesn't mean that it goes away. It has got built up. It has a life of its own. So conflict amongst founders is something which, once it begins, at times having very senior mentors can maybe solve it. It's also possible. They can intervene and they say, let's make a fresh start and all of that. But mostly it goes out of hand. And there are many reasons why it goes out of hand. So the right team has many bullet points, but some of them are that we never discussed that what are the values that we will stand by. We just said, let's start a venture, but we never discussed what are those values, and now it appears that our values are not coinciding. We didn't talk about how aggressive are we going to be about targets. What are our targets? Do we want to become millionaires, multimillionaires, or billionaires? Because for every such word, the commitment towards that is also going to be different. And we never talked about it. We thought that more is better. But now that we are already on the path to a valuation of 50 crores, one of the founders says, it's good, no? I have 50% of it. 50 crores is like, today if I say somehow manage to sell it, 25 crores. 25 crores, my last 10 generations has not managed to earn that much. It is enough for me. But one of them says, we can make it 500 crores. You say, but I don't want that kind of... So you see, this... Nobody in the initial period thought to discuss this, because when we came together, our revenue was zero. So we never got this sense that we should also think about all of this. Right? Another time when conflict begins is when you get some angel investor to give some funds to you. Suddenly you have more freedom, you are in a position to hire people. Now one of you is like, I want to hire my first cousin. The other one says, no, we should not get any relatives. But you belong to a community where you know that if you get relatives, they are the best asset. The other person is from a community who says you should never ever interact with your relatives when it comes to business. Both these thoughts exist in our country, very diverse. One will say never tell about your business to any relative, not even to a third cousin, leave alone to your brother and brother-in-law or sister-in-law. And one will say my entire team should be full of my cousins, my uncles, and so on, and aunts. Now, initially we never talked about it, but the now moment I have got some money from angel investor, I'm about to hire. One of them has started looking for relatives. The other is like, nobody should know in my entire family that we have got some funds. Huge conflict. And then about who is putting how much work. There could be conflict around that you are pursuing that other opportunity also on behalf of your sister or your father. I am working full time on it. And you say, no, I am not putting any effort for my father's business. At times he calls me and I give him some input. Conflict. So this is just a sample of conflict, but there are very large number of conflicts that can happen. Not all of them can be anticipated, but some of the things that you can try and do so that the obvious ones are obvious errors are not made. So the whole point is that it's in team that the pivoting is very, very difficult. Pivoting in various other things is possible, but in team, it almost always breaks down the whole organization itself. And that is why the team is very important. The first question that comes to mind is, why team? If it is so complicated, why don't I do it alone? If I start succeeding, I will hire this one, a high quality first layer. I'll also give them ESOPs. So it's not that I'm going to keep all of the equity with myself. I'm going to give them ESOPs. In fact, I'm very generous. I'll give my workers also ESOPs. But let me begin alone. No conflict. I can focus, do hard work. If it succeeds, good. If it doesn't, anyways, I'm a student. I'll move forward. So why should you have a team? Why should you bring this complication of looking for a second person and kind of figuring out about the reasons of conflict and not letting conflict happen? Why should you have a team? Why should you have a team? If it is such a complicated thing, the easy solution is not to have a team, right? So why have a team to begin with? I'm not saying run a company with one person. The initial, why have a team? To have different expertise, okay? Like, give an example. What do you mean? Okay. Fine. So not just engineering but design, not just engineering and design but fundraising capability. Okay. So one is you need different expertise. It's very difficult to imagine a person who has all of this combined into one person. Not easy at all. Impossible, maybe not. Difficult, very, very difficult. What other reason? Okay. So multiple perspective. Okay. So there are each problem, each opportunity can be looked at from different lenses, and it looks different when looked at through different lens, and it's good to get them and have more than one perspective. Okay. What else could be the reason of why? Okay. Okay. So from these perspectives, you get quality solution because you have considered multiple perspective before developing. Okay. What else? Why should you have a team? Distribution of work, everybody, no matter how intelligent you are, physical labor that is required might cross sadly each one of us only have 24 hours, no matter what we do. Okay, more people is equal to more resource. So one so since anyways we are talking about resources in this course, obviously more people will be equal to more resources. Fine. What else? Why team? Anything else that comes to your mind? ठीक है. Different perspective, thought, process also leads to how idea generation. Okay, idea. Like in how, like savings of more than one, savings of say 2-3 of founders, like that. Yeah, so more resource, one of them is, so we get in our team a particularly rich, they always look for a team. Achha, that way you're saying they look for a team. So you're saying have a team because investors like a team. So that was the question, that why a team. So it's the same thing. The question was that why a team, which is like investors also like, they want a team. The question is why. So yeah, these are good reasons. In every scenario there won't be, at least for the first 2 years, maybe there is no chance of any investor. But okay, it's the same thing, that if he's saying investor like a team, I agree. So then again the question then again comes loop, ki, acha, why do they like a team? Which is what you are saying. Something more? What will you just imagine? You have a team member, founder. What all will you get from that person? You will get a different expertise. So I am a coder, that person is a seller. Okay, when I have an idea, I say and I get a different perspective. So I argue it out, I am more confident. I am required to go to a vendor today, that person goes to deliver some products to the customer. Distribution ho gaya. I go here, he goes there, both of us get onto a bus, but different buses. His family has certain network, my family has some other network, more people, more resource. Anything else that I think I'll get from that individual? Emotional support, right? Emotional, psychological support. Very important, very, very tough journey. I join a well-established organization in a specific role, don't really need that much of emotional support. Because before me also somebody was sitting on that desk, after me also somebody will sit on that desk, JD is given, support systems are there, I have to do my job. Here, the chair that I am sitting on, that did not exist. It is of my own conceptualization that such a chair should exist in this society. So I create that and I sit on it. I don't know whether this chair is real or not, whether I am sitting on an imaginary chair. So I can have those doubts. Some days can be very low. So whom do I tell? I can always call up my father, right? That I am having a tough day. What will my father tell me? Or mother? Or sister? Or brother? Mostly. What are they going to tell me? I call them. Very, very difficult, this startup thing. Thought I had a customer and I went to deliver. They didn't exist. They ghosted me. What do you think the family will tell you? We had told you. We had told you. Why did you go to IIT for? to do this. We had told you, you take up a job when you have enough savings, you have bought your house, bought your car, everything EMI paid, then you start. मैंने तो पहले ही बोला था. So you need a person to talk to who is in the same boat. You don't want to talk to a person who is on the mainland. You want to talk to a person who is in the same sinking boat, or at least a boat which you think is sinking. Who can say, okay, if we die, we'll die together, or at least let's come together and try to save this boat. So very, very important. If people are not having the same journey, it's very difficult to empathize, to sympathize, even to sympathize. Right? So it's not an insignificant thing at all. In fact, this might be, amongst all, might be the most important one. Apart from this. But it doesn't often come to our mind. So this also came in the last in the list. So capital needs, yes, various forms of resources, not just money but other forms, network and all that, right? They are required. But psychological needs as well, right? Support and validation, collaboration. What happens is, when you have a certain idea, you will see, if you speak about it in your mind, it will move in a certain direction. If you speak about it to a particular person, even if that person doesn't speak but gives you reaction through eyes, through expression, your idea will move in a certain direction. And if this person engages with your idea, does a back and forth, the idea will move into a third direction. And that will be the more robust movement, right? That is why often online education has its limitation, that you are not getting feedback as and when you are getting an idea in your mind. Very important. If you speak something, if I tell you something at that moment, something gets connected in your mind. So similar thing happens in this uncertain world of venture creation. Okay. So collaboration of various kinds. So now that we are sure that we need a team, having a team is a better option than going solo, let's look at how many should we have. So our starting point is this: more is equal to more, but how much more and why that much more and now less more? What is this more? Till where is it? What could be the algorithm behind this? We know 1 is not good enough, fine, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, till where? We are talking of, as of now, we are talking of early stage only, very early stage. 2 is more than enough. Okay, 2, 3. Why this comes to your mind? Based on what do you think is the logic that is there in your mind?
Okay, so all these things will be checked down if this they will have a 2 or 3. Different perspective and emotional support and all that.
Go to your mobile or laptop and look at, let's say, for example, how many co-founders are there in IdeaForge. Search the number of co-founders. In the image itself, it should become clear. How many? 4. Okay. So the first campus startup in this country which has got an IPO, which is what IdeaForge is, the first campus startup to get an IPO is IdeaForge in this country. So it is now written forever. And the first campus startup to get an IPO in our country was from IIT Bombay, 2004 or 5 batch. It required nearly 20 years. But yeah, first IPO. They had four, they have always had 4 members. So now this is huge difference, right? 2, 3, 4, they are, we are talking of small numbers. So from 2 to 3 is 50% increase, from 3 to 4, 33% increase. We are not difference of just one, huge differences. So how should we think about it? Hmm.
Find a number of people.
Yeah.
Minimum number of people you find in which all the skills you could mark.
Hmm.
You go for that.
Okay. Good algorithm to begin with. Why do you? Why does it come to your mind that keep it at a minimum? What is going on in your mind? Can you articulate that? So you said, look at the skill sets which are required for this particular kind of venture, and if you can find it in 2 people combined, better than if you find it in 3 people. That's what your mind is telling you. Now, why is your mind telling you that 2 is better than 3, assuming that these 2 together have those 7 skill sets, as opposed to another set of 3 people who have those 7 skill sets? Your mind is telling you 2 is better. So, what is going on in your mind? What are you relying upon to say this?
It is a larger number of people as a co-founders. Highly probable that they won't have that much passion or inclination towards solving the problem which they're starting with.
Okay. Okay.
So I think conflict and making conflict.
Hmm.
So अगर तीन है या चार है तो there are more chances कि conflict happen और total दो का आइडिया सेम डायरेक्शन में दो का डिफरेंट है. अगर तीन है तो दो का है फिर एक का है एक वाला समझ जाएगा प्रॉब्लम एंड तीन वाला दो का conflict होती है this is the third person to solve the problem.
Hmm. Right. So you're saying the chances of conflict increases with the increase in number of people. Groupism is possible only if you can make 2 groups. Otherwise, there is no such thing as groupism. Right? Yeah. So, yeah, intuitively you are in the right direction. That there is. So what has been found is that actually it is either of these 2 which work the best in most cases. But then we have a very clear example in front of us, highly successful venture which has 4. So how does one wrap one head around it? So there are certain ventures which are called deep tech ventures. Deep tech ventures by definition are solving very complex problems in the world, which has emerged because the way the society itself has evolved. So there were many problems which didn't exist earlier, right? For example, landfills because of fast fashion and didn't exist in 1900. Today it's a burning problem, literally, because the society has evolved in a particular way. You want a particular dress, there will be consultants who will tell you what to wear on each day of the week. They'll send you pictures with your image on it, saying how you will look. So with these kind of things available, obviously, and then suddenly they'll say, I'll also get all of these delivered to your home. And so there are things which are fueling that, technologies which have come up which are allowing these kind of presentation to happen to you. So things are moving in a direction which they couldn't move 100 years back because of technological advancements. So things are becoming more and more complex. So the society needs to solve them, and that is where the opportunity is. You make it more complex, you have more complex problems, so you solve more complex problems. But those problems are now so complex that often they require more than one specialization to come together and talk to each other to solve them. So often the solution lies at the intersection of bioinformatics and AI ML. Now, these are two very different things, right? You needed one person who is able to think about the business and one person to think about the technology or work on technology. But technology, if it has three verticals which have to come together and three very diverse, one related to materials, one related to artificial intelligence, you can't expect one person to be able to master these, right? So which means you need two people to handle it. So this tech which you were thinking, हमारा tech कौन देख रहा है? Oh, you are the tech. But no, these three are tech because we are solving what comes into the realm of deep tech innovations. We are trying to do deep tech innovations. So by definition, complex and combining multiple narrow streams of specialization. So your CTO cannot be one person, right? Just for the basic development itself. That is why, as the complexity of the venture's solution increases, you will start moving in this direction. But of course, beyond a certain number, which in most cases is 4, the risks of conflict outweigh the ability to solve complex problems. Okay? So that is about number. Now about homogeneity. Homogeneity of thoughts. So while we need multiple perspectives, multiple approach towards problem solving and all of that, but in terms of what you want to achieve and how you want to achieve it, there should be complete alignment, without which something will start going wrong. So homogeneity in objectives and how we want to achieve it should be very high. But in terms of skill sets, of course, we want very, very minimal overlap. So an ideal team is that where when you draw the skill set map, it looks with very minimal overlap. So this is the redundancy. But when you draw what they want to achieve, it's just more or less one circle. What and how. What they want to achieve, how they want to achieve. What they have is this diagram. So that is about homogeneity, motivations. So these are some teams which have come from your campus, from the hostels that you live in, right? They are all hostel mates. Idea Forge has one person who is not from IIT Bombay, the person who looks at finance. So which hostel do you think this Atomberg founders were in? Are you aware? Hostel 4, which is under reconstruction. Now, there is this image which is actually from a motion picture, and the name of the movie I think is American Animals. So a group of 4 people get together to rob a museum of old books. Why do you think old books are valuable? Old books, why are they valuable? They want to rob old books. Not money, not painting, books. Because there was a time in our society, not very long back, where common people like you and me could not have access to books. Books were meant only for religious leaders and the kings. and only they could commission the writing of books. So they were all handwritten. This printing and all is just 600 years old. Before that, everything was handwritten. So it had to be commissioned. And not everybody can commission that, write a book. No, writing is not allowed. It can lead to revolution. Right? Just like social media can lead to revolution. So you can't write anything and everything. There are laws to control what you can write. Similarly, there were laws to control what could be written and who could write them. So only the king and the religious leaders could commission books. So books were all handwritten. It took typically a year to produce one book. So obviously, if you require 1 year to produce a thing, it becomes valuable. So often books were chained. By a chain, they were kept at a place. So an enclosure was made and a book was kept inside. It was chained, like locked. That is how valuable they were. So there's this gang which is trying to steal books. This image has been drawn by a student of mine from IIM Trichy. He was very good at putting things together. So he has taken part of it from that poster of American Animals. You should watch it if it is available on your DC. And the book he has created, as you can see, certain lines. Can you see that? Is it visible on the book? This. And the title, the size of the prize. What do you think he is trying to communicate through this image? There are many things that are getting communicated through this one image in the context of what we are discussing today. Tell me, what all are you able to see? One thing. Equity. Who will get how much equity? Another major source of conflict. So that is not the subject of our discussion. You should join a new venture finance course. I think Professor Rohan teaches a course in School of Management around that. Okay, so one is equity. What are you connecting with in this image to say equity? The size of the price. Okay, fine. So many people and size of the price. Okay, what else comes to your mind? That is one. So book, that book, I am going to capture this book, but symbolically it has been shown that the book has certain, it's in real it is not that like that, but symbolically it has been shown. So that also can be connected to who will get how much of the book which we are trying to steal or capture. Okay, so equity. What else comes to your mind looking at this picture? Only equity? So teamwork, common goal. They are moving together. Okay. What else? You can look into what you anyways have told to see if you see resonance of why team into it. Conflict you have already figured out. This diagram you have already figured out. How? Okay. Okay, fine. What else? Yeah. There are woodpecker, there are hornbill. So this is being represented by the different masks. Different skill sets are being represented by different birds have different way of foraging, getting their food, flying and all of that. So that has been represented by that. Okay. So any Heist movie that you see will always have three very, very different characters, very sharp, different characters. So it's that sharpness, the difference, the same goal of stealing a diamond, but one person is very good at driving cars fast, which will be required at the end. One is very good at opening locks. The third one is very good at planning all resources. When they come together, they are able to do the task. That's what this movie is also about. That's what you have to remember, right? So that was all for today. Yeah. Thanks. We can conclude it.